YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this amazing product we've got for you today. This is the Avanti 70. I know it's a 70 and you're probably thinking, oh, it can't be that crazy. Trust me, it flies like it's an 80 millimeter EDF, which is awesome. Today I'm flying mine on dual 3200 3S's in series. And check out all the lights. There's lights all over this thing, and it has awesome retracts, which I really like. Trailing link oleo on all three oleos, which is really nice, and soft springs. I like that because some of these planes, as much as I like having them, I want softer springs like this, okay? Or soft tires at least. So without further ado, here goes nothing. We have this equipped with an AR, did we do a 637T? We did a 637T, and so we do have a voltage alarm at 3.4 volts. So we're gonna get set and take off. All right, guys, here goes nothing. If you wanna squeeze a short runway for more, put your wheels off the edge of the runway, and there you go. Easy to get in the air, absolutely no problem. A couple clicks of trim on the rudder. About 10% throttle here. That's 100% throttle. Take off flaps now. Getting kicked around by some wind. I want a little bit more trim on the rudder. So as you guys can see, this thing handles its own. I'll be quiet for a high-speed pass. Sounds amazing. Being real efficient with my battery use today. Thing is super agile, gets the job done, very fast roll rate. Looks amazing doing it, very good visibility. You guys see those ups are fantastic for a 70. Actually, the ups are fantastic for an anything. Okay, full landing flaps. Let's show you how it slows down. Look at this. 40, 50% throttle now. Look at that thing. Out of flaps into full throttle and janking it. Little stall turn for you. Take off flaps and a little bit of throttle to clean it up on the way out. The only thing that's bad about this plane, to me, inside pass, good. Okay. Is the fact that it's got white as a base color, and so the wings will disappear in the right colors. And so that's one thing I would change about this if I could. Thinking of the silver base on the Futura, which is a super similar in actually performance to the Futura. But you gotta remember the Futura is an 80, guys. But same otherwise power system performance, if you ask me. Take off flaps now. 30 seconds on our 3 minutes. Going through the hole. That's the Viper killing zone. A little bit more on my master gains. I noticed it was getting kicked by the wind in that passage. Turn about 20% more. Oh yeah, she's locked in now. It's about 40% throttle, just nice smooth turns. Right overhead this time. Hard on the throttle, flying over the bush, and then up. Can we jank it? Janking it back this time. You see that? That's one thing I noticed about this plane. Did you see what happened there? It got pushed by the wind and went straight up, okay? So that's one thing I know about this plane is there is a definitive bite point where you're gonna lose it, okay? So jank it. It'll get crazy, but then as soon as you get that thing flying again, it's rock solid. Let's demonstrate again. Jank it. Throttle, even uphill, and the thing has enough juice to get out of it, no problem at all. Take off flaps now. We'll just be nice to the packs. Kind of going with the wind now over the top of the cherry. That cherry's gonna be gone hopefully next week from that spot. but not from our lives, which is good because it's one of our favorite trees. Okay, up and over. Let's see if we can take a landing here.
Okay.
Full landing flaps. Just get my voltage alarms too. Pretty good. Oh, there it is. Woo! A little rough on the landing, but you know what? Not a hard landing. Just gonna put it off in the grass so it doesn't roll too far, so we can give you an update on the time. So that's on top of 3. So about 4 minutes, 20 seconds of actual, well, let's say 4 minutes, okay, for easy figuring. 4 minutes is not bad to get to 3.4 volts on an EDF jet while loaded. Now, we could go longer and we could be efficient with our use and probably squeeze another minute. But the thing is with jets is you get bit. Also, my rate of descent was too fast, and that is why I like soft springs on the mains as well as the nose. That helps to arrest that slamming effect when you have a bad landing from yours truly. But also, guys, just keep in mind, we have a pretty steep approach here, and normally when I'm flying and there's not a crosswind and we have foliation on the trees, meaning leaves, we get less wind right here. And so I can come in here and fly it low so I don't have to bleed off and trade airspeed for altitude. Right. So I'll bring it in low and actually cut up the hill and then land it on this tight runway.
And unless you've been here, people don't
get it.
How tall that tree is, how much of a hill you're dealing with, and how steep that is. And that tree line gets taller every year. Yeah,
that's right. So, and that's the other thing too, is that one doesn't belong to us, so we can't cut it down. And I wouldn't even if I could, because I love trees. Yeah. And to be honest, when they start getting defoliated like this, it makes it really difficult to tell the difference between this tree and this tree. And then they kind of all look like this. But this one's closer, which means it's taller. And this one's, you know, so it's very tricky. So like this one, as we walk up, let's just focus on the cherry tree, guys. One of the reasons we're filming this today, we'll focus on the cherry tree, is because the cherry tree is probably gonna get moved next week. And as you walk, you can kind of see, it's very dang hard to see where it is.
Yeah.
Now I kind of know where it is, but as you approach a tree, you'll be able to see a little bit more and more. And so our main line of attack is here, which is off the straight approach, okay? So if you're going through that hole, that works really nice. You got forever to land. But the thing is, from there, you don't. And so obviously our wind is here. Our wind is here right now, and it's kind of like going between this and this morning. So that's one of the things about flying RC, is that when you fly in the winter, you get different circumstances than if you're flying in the summer. And obviously, as you can see, we've been top dressing, trying to get this stuff straightened out so we have better grass ops. We know that's something that you guys like to see. But this tree, you guys see, finally, we're getting to the point where you can see where it tops out, okay? So once that tree is gone, and you can see where we've wrapped the ribbons around these handful of trees, this little evergreen here is also gonna go, just because it's sort of wasted there. And it's a beautiful tree, so I'd like to try to save it. And then this one here, and then there's one over here as well.
There's an orange.
And so those trees are gonna go up into the grove on the other side when we get this pond complete. But I've got some news that we'll share between flights. We are gonna fly this on 4000 as well. That'll be a single 6S. And so stay tuned if you wanna see that. And also, if you wanna support us, buy the planes from the links in the video description below. If you don't like this one and we help to rule it out, we also have links to the other one you're ruling in. And so when you watch that video, just follow the links there. Or you go to Brian Phillips RC. One word, that's our domain, Brian Phillips RC, BRIAN. PHILLIPSRC.com, and you can see whatever plane you want to see right now, because we have literally thousands of videos to help you decide between great options and other great options.
And you can also see if they're on sale.
You can see if they're on sale. And that might have something to do with this video, but just because we understand that you might be watching this video in 3 years, we don't want to bait you with that. But the truth is, it is on sale. So check it out right now. It's an awesome plane. You won't regret buying it. But also, along the lines of the pond, got some bad news this week on Tuesday. Should have got it on Monday, but I was super busy at work, and we've got frost. And so what happens is, when the frost comes in, the top layer of the dirt will hold a little bit of moisture, which there isn't much to speak of, and then it's gonna allow it to freeze and bulge, and then you can't get good compaction. So when you build a dam and you try to build with frost, you end up with basically layers that are not properly attached. And even though you go through compaction, you'll get poor compaction, and then you have dams that fail. So unfortunately, that's what you're gonna get for the rest of the season. Believe me, I'm so annoyed, but at the same time, it's all the county's fault because they dragged their feet for almost 3 full weeks. We started this project in March, and it's now just beginning to get into December. And it just irks me so bad. This poor guy that had, I don't know, $750,000 worth of equipment sitting on our land that we're paying to dig the pond, was sitting there for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. We could have had this pond done. So anyway, if you guys are like us and that stuff annoys you, smash the like button and let us know just how much you hate it. So anyway, it's very frustrating, but at the same time, it's gonna give us some more time to propagate some of these trees and get the groves lined up the way we want. Because at the end of the day, we are trying to make this a fantastic RC aerodrome and also full scale, because at the end of this runway, as you can see, it's nice and straight, but we do have a little bit of a topo change here as we go uphill to about where that Mid-American flag is. And then it flattens out, and it's gonna continue to the helipad at the other end, which would be the crest of the knoll over there. The house sits on the edge of a knoll, which is sort of extended because it's a walkout, and there's several different knobs or knolls here, and that's gonna be the full scale strip. The crest of that set of knolls will be the full scale strip, okay? So the helipad, and then there's gonna be a road that goes across that we've coined the terminology, the dam road. There should be a dam gift shop over there too, which is gonna be hopefully a 60 by 80 by 20 building. And I've been doing research on doors that would open for a hangar, and at first probably be ultralight. And then if I ever win the lotto, then ultimately it'd be something like a Carbon Cub SS or similar, which would be awesome. Because a STOL takeoff and landing would be, you know, if you're doing short takeoffs and landings, this field wouldn't even really need any modifications. So it just kind of depends on what aircraft ends up. But a helicopter here or there taking off or landing would obviously fit, no problem. But a full-scale strip that would accommodate a Cessna 172 or something like that. I want something that's gonna accept more than just short field grass ops, because you could do this right now with the right airplane and the right pilot, because we buried the lines. So as you know, and if you've been watching us for any length of time, we've got about 9 years in this, and all the stuff you're seeing us do has been extremely expensive, difficult, hard fought, but also a huge culminating life experience for me, and my wonderful wife has tolerated most of it.
Most of it.
Most of it. So it's been really, really cool, and an experience that, you know, sometimes hard fought dreams are the best dreams, because if it weren't hard, everybody would do it, right? So we're really excited to be able to share the experience with you. We hope that we're not totally boring you with these details. We know a lot of you have asked questions about this stuff, and so we just try to answer them as we go in the videos. And so if you're a regular, you're gonna see these quick updates. So anyway, back to flying. Stay tuned, 4000 coming up next. All right guys, so we're inside the Avanti. Just wanted to show you how I configure the dual pack setup. It's pretty basic stuff. We have the series connector, which I'll now unplug, and then I have an adapter that goes from, sorry camera crew, from an EC3 to an EC5, okay? And then this IC adapter wouldn't carry a data lead anyway, so this could just as well be ECs, but that's what we had on hand. So that's a series connector. If you guys aren't familiar with series versus parallel, when you put two batteries together in series that are 3S, you end up with a 6S, because that stands for series, okay? I know most of you watching this video of this echelon of aircraft probably already understand this stuff, but just speaking to the noobs in the room, this is a series adapter that you can buy. You can build these pretty easy as well. I would not use IC3s if I was building this. I would use EC3s, they're way cheaper, but I hate EC3s, they're a pain in the butt to build. So that'd be the only advantage here, because you've got this pants piece that you can break out of there and slide back, and it makes it a lot easier and a nice clean finish, okay? These just happen to be quite more expensive. And technically you could take the data line from one and you could set telemetry alarms as though you were flying on 3S. It would just confuse everything. Okay, so that allows you to use 2 3S batteries. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Brian, we've seen your batteries, you got 1 million batteries. Why are you using these batteries? Well, because we're supposed to be getting some 6S batteries and we haven't gotten them. And we've been waiting on them for literally months. Literally months. Months and months and months. Probably 4 months now, right?
Probably longer.
So as you can see, we've got 2 3S packs, Gen 1 and Gen 2. I would not generally mismatch Gen 1, Gen 2 because the discharge rate on a Gen 2 can actually be slightly faster because, well, it's not so much that it discharges faster. I shouldn't say that. Let me correct. There is a slightly better balancing circuit on Gen 2 packs than Gen 1, which is why they were allowed to eliminate the balance leads on Gen 2. So in my opinion, Gen 1 packs are every bit as good as Gen 2 packs. In fact, you might even get some that are better just because they had the, virgin run on them in the factory where they were being made. So now 4006S, obviously that's pretty straightforward stuff. Of course, we don't need adapters because we're going straight from an IC5 in. But I wanted to take a quick second and just show you that in case you weren't already aware of how we do that. Now, we started this process back on the F1870 because we found that our 3200 6S was just not kicking it out. Works fine for prop planes, but it just wasn't quite enough for some of these more powerful jets. Okay, so also real quick, I want to show you how this loads because generally when you load an airplane with a battery, if it's difficult to load, you're going to fly it less. And that is a consideration when you're looking for a plane that might be on sale right now. Okay, so we do have a Gen 1 with a balance lead. This happens to be 50C and you can see it's plumped up. It looks like me. So that's not good generally. You want to have a nice tight square package that looks more like this. Okay, that means that you have a more healthy battery. Now that's to say some of this over time is pretty standard if you fly like I do, okay? I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying it's pretty standard, okay? Now if you get a really, really high C pack and they still puff like that, that means you're either being too mean to them or the manufacturer was lying, so get used to it, it's normal. They all do, even the good ones. Well, and I don't know if it's so much that they're lying, it's just it's stupid measurement. You know, the C rating is such a joke. It's supposed to have to do with like how many times you can discharge based on the current rating of the pack. And I'm just, what a joke. Such a stupid measurement. They shouldn't even have it on there. They should just say expensive, less expensive.
Good, better, best.
Well, they put some extra dividers in these packs that are supposed to help keep the soft packs from bulging as much. But like really at the end of the day, it has to do with the chemistry. It has very little to do with the physical. Okay, so now you see what I'm doing? I'm putting this in forward and then our shelf liner stops that thing from slipping, but I can still slide it back. And you see I'm getting that to where that battery lead is in there, kind of janking it really sharp. Okay, so I don't want to damage the battery lead. So there's a tray back there I'm avoiding. Do you see what I just did there, guys? See how I tucked it under there? So it's not going to damage these leads as they go in. Those leads come in and they have a strain relief underneath and they hold on to that pretty strong, but I still don't like to tempt fate because there is a lot of potential energy here, okay? So now this one's not gonna really do anything, so I'm just gonna slide this back just a wee bit further. And you see how far back I am now compared to the 3200? I'm like an inch further back. Now what that's gonna do is that's gonna help me to flare if I would like. But I don't know if you guys could tell when I was doing the snap rolls up there, the plane was acting like it was maybe just a touch tail heavy. Okay, so this is gonna make it somewhat neutral because we're on the nose of the plane. So if you put a bigger weight up here, it's gonna make it more nose heavy the bigger the battery is, okay? So if you're playing with your battery position, of course, the heavier batteries are gonna generally need to move back toward the center of gravity, which is right here, okay? So if you look right here, you can see what I'm talking about. So anyway, guys, if you aren't used to seeing this from Brian Phillips RC, we usually do this in our Unbox Build radio setup, but this is our second thoughts. And second thoughts for planes usually gives us a little bit more time to elaborate on some of these details. And then findings about this plane. Now, admittedly, this plane, I wish I could say I've flown it like 50 times since we did our initial flights, but I haven't because we've been so busy. And that's just part of what we do here on Brian Phillips RC. We're always pumping out new content. And so it really steals our ability to go out and love and enjoy these planes the way I'd like to. But it's a double-edged sword because that means there's something else that's in the queue, okay? So it's a good problem and a bad problem. All right, so everything's working. We're ready to rock and roll. We'll see you outside. All right, guys, 6S 4000, my apologies. Avanti 70. Look how nice that thing goes. Did you hear my warnings already from telemetry chick? Mm-hmm. And that explains why we were using the other batteries, guys. Because there's definitely a sag that happens under high, intense use. You guys see how easy it is to jank that thing out of a maneuver? That's so fun. But also I'm getting lots of warnings. 20.3 volts. Feels weak. Janking it. Get it flying. Didn't even give throttle to get it back flying. That's so much fun. So guys, if you haven't ever experienced the Avanti, I would highly suggest that you consider it. Sorry about all the silhouetting. This is what happens when you film in winter in an area that has winter. Well, landing flaps would do a dirty pass here. Oh yeah, gear going back up, beautiful. Flying out over the tree line. We're gonna bring it up and around. Kind of hit the runway and then inside pass, so you wanna take a couple of shifts. Right there. Didn't quite get the altitude change I was hoping for. Sorry, camera crew. We'll come out here and try the same. Okay. You're good where you are though. So guys, this Avanti just really holds its own. It's just a super fast, super fun plane. Really gets around nicely. I wanna see if I can get you guys a nice touch and go, if I can get it. By the way, I gotta say those lights on the wingtips, boy, they help so much this time of year. You forget about how important that and critical that really is when you're flying in the middle of summer. Oh man, I'm way fast. Greasy, into the ground effect, rudder over. We're gonna take a little bit more of a local route. Gear, takeoff flaps, now landing flaps. We're gonna let that thing slow down a little bit. Keep throttle, save it, 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 save it. There it is, guys. That was good. A lot better. Yeah. And then see that thing walking up and down? Still gonna overshoot, but they got the barn doors down. So what I got to say is get your CG back. You can walk up and down the driveway, or excuse me, runway, just doing this. It's so much fun when you can do that with a jet. But you do have to have the stabilizer working with you to help keep that thing flying well in all the rest of the maneuvers. So I gotta say, for being a 70, this thing is action-packed and you're gonna really enjoy it. Now I gotta say, my initial thoughts on the Avanti were I wasn't crazy about the colors. Got it out of the box, I said, wow, that looks nice. I still have my concerns about the white, not because it's not a fully painted jet. I don't really care about that. Some people do, I don't. I don't have any problem at all with a white plane, except for on days like this. They stand out when they're contrasting and you're between the sun and you, and they blend in with the cloud when the sun is behind you. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is it really makes for bad visibility. It's not that you can't see it, you can't tell that it exists. It's just you can't see those fine feedback details you need to be a better pilot. So if you know where the plane is, you can make the right decision, hopefully at the right time. And sometimes you see it and you still make the wrong decision at the wrong time. Just thinking of the BAE Hawk recently. Right. I did clean up that forest, by the way, guys. I know it was embarrassing for us.
Our forest was embarrassing.
Yeah. So guys, really awesome 4S, or excuse me, 4,000 milliamp 4S, 4,000 milliamp 6S is fine for this plane. I know it's, for a lot of us, it's a little bit more common size for EDF jets, but I gotta say, you may have noticed that I carried quite a bit further on that landing because I was trying to stay away from the stall, okay? Fast flying jets. Now just imagine when we extend this runway here as part of the pond project, this is going to go out until the crest of this hill, and that's gonna be a helipad there. So the helipad is gonna be there, and then that's where the dam is. So if you walk with us just for a second, we'll give you a quick update. We already talked once about it. This is the farm junk pile. Of course, that's gonna move, hopefully, thank God. Because everybody that has any sort of property has a junk pile.
Yes.
And it's like, you know, it's not just junk, it's like $50,000 worth of equipment junk.
Yeah.
And then junk.
And more junk.
And then more junk on top of that. So this is gonna be the helipad location. So as you can see, you got nice clearance all the way around to be able to get to where you need to get, okay? So it's really nice. You've got good spatial awareness. You've got good landmarks. And then right over there, that's gonna be the dam. So what's gonna happen is this will probably be the edge of the helipad. So it'll be a little bit of dirt work to build this up, and then it's gonna continue, and then there'll be basically your crosswind's gonna be over there. I'm not sure exactly how it's all gonna interact, but the idea is then, you know, if there's not a helicopter parked here, maybe some kids could park their cars or something like that when they come to visit, and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm not saying there's not gonna be a helicopter on it someday. There'll probably be some radio controlled ones. But I'll be happy if I ever get a real helicopter to land here. So if you guys fly helicopters, hit me up in the comments or send us an email on the about, and we can line up doing some test runs so we can see if there's other issues that we haven't thought about. Because really, honestly, getting our good friends with pilot's license and airplanes at their discretion here to test our theories before we spend lots of money would be wise. And so we're looking for people that can help us to do a couple of quick tests on that. So anyway, hit us up in the comments or in the email. Probably email would be better on something like that because it'd be more business related. But the Avanti 70, amazing, awesome plane. You will really enjoy it. It gets the job done. You can fly it off a short strip if you want. It probably would tolerate a really well manicured grass strip, no problem. But ours is not well manicured, and we are working on that. Just to be clear, as you can see, there's some exposed dirt and things like that. And I probably need to roll that in the spring. I'll probably be doing a little bit more top dressing here too. And as you guys know, here in Iowa, in central Iowa, we get winter, and winter means lots of snow and different things like that, and it tends to be wet. So we're gonna do our best to weather that general normal storm. And we hope that at the end of this will be better. So we'll be able to do a little bit more grass ops for you as we continue to improve that runway, in addition to this runway. So as you can see, that's gonna be the where the dam lines up. Okay, hopefully we answered all your questions. Oh, and then there's one other detail. The camera crew and I were debating about this, and I wanted to show it in this video. We're gonna show it in other videos probably, just because we know a lot of our audience doesn't watch every single video we put out. We would like it if you did, but we're realists. Yeah, exactly. And so basically what we've got going on here is over the crest of the hill, we've got our check dam done, and that was the last big structure that got finished. And that's gonna actually be a small silt pond that's gonna help to keep the rest of the pond from silting in over time. And if you're building a pond and you are just trying to follow along, then that would be one thing you can consider doing. And our engineer, of course, had us do that, not just to be nice, but because they made us do it. So here it is. And yes, there's like stakes and stuff everywhere, so I apologize for the mess. But that is our silt pond. Is gonna be upstream of this thing. So that is 120 tons. So I think I was saying 120,000 pounds. I was wrong. I forgot I was dealing with tons. So we're actually talking about 240,000 pounds of rock right there. So it is rock, rock, and more rock. And then it tapers to the edges. And so what's gonna happen is, as the water comes in from upstream, it's gonna pool in here and settle. So that pond is basically done up here. I mean, there's gonna be a little teeny bit of shaping, but the general principles of that pond are done, okay? So as you can see, it's not like a huge thing. It's not gonna be super deep, but I mean, it still would be enough to hold water and everything and be cool. but then that's really not gonna hold water like a normal dam. That's intentionally gonna let water flow through it, okay? And then that's gonna continue down here, and you can see the general shape of the pond, except that there's gonna be about 1/3 more out that direction. And so if you guys haven't seen the progress of this build project, all you have to do is just keep watching our videos and we'll give you updates, especially once it gets back kicked off in the spring, okay? So at this point, the only things that are gonna change will probably be some more trees are gonna be moved over to that side. That's gonna help us to frame our videos. And then it's also gonna help to replace the tree line that used to obstruct some of our view out the house, okay? So it's gonna be twofold there. And obviously it's it's gonna be cool. This ditch was one of our favorite parts of this property. And we ended up having a ton of erosion and lost like 7 or 8 really big trees, like 100-foot plus trees, some of the biggest trees on the property during a big rain event right before we moved in. In fact, right before we closed on this land. Yeah, it was like maybe like 2 weeks before a tornado came through and it almost hit this area. And I was at 2 different businesses that day, one of which was Vermeer in Pella. They got hit. It blew out building 6. A huge building, like I'm guessing probably a 2 million square foot building got destroyed. And then it hit another of the plants that I was at that day, which was, I forget what it is. It's like paperboard, Tama paperboard. And I just happened to be at both sites and the tornadoes hit both places.
There was a tornado that touched down in like the small town near where we live.
Well, no, it was out here. It just wasn't at our property. It didn't take these trees.
Right, we didn't lose any trees in that storm.
But that was actually right around the same time that we were buying the land, but then we lost a bunch of trees got damaged here. And so part of the reason we're doing this pond, it's not just the RC, but it's also, you know, environmental reasons, because we don't want that washout to keep destroying. And you see these trees, how they're all straight up and down now? Unlike this one here, you see that one that's tilted to the side, to the right? That's not just because it's trying to find light. You're gonna have to probably point for them there, camera crew, so they can see. What's going on is when you get close to the banks like that, they literally lose their footing and they start to fall in. So like this tree, we're hoping it'll be saved, but you know, we might lose it because of the water level. So we're just doing all the things we can to try to keep everything where we want it, okay? So it's gonna be beautiful, and it's tons of work. And if you guys are ever curious and you wanna ask questions, you can certainly ask them. We certainly don't have all the answers. We're learning a lot as we do this project. We learned a lot when we built the house. We learned a lot when we did the driveways. We learned a lot when we started taking hay off of this property. We learned a lot when we started leasing the land for hay production over here. We've just learned a lot about a lot of different crazy things that we never really wanted to learn about, period, ever. And so it's been really daunting and rewarding.
Yeah, none of this was like an accident.
No, it looks like it might be kind of accidental right now. But it's actually all part of a long plan. I have a drawing that shows where everything is gonna go, yeah. But it's had to change a little bit over time as we've designed all this. And if anybody has been to, this is gonna be like a very, very, very small version, but if you've ever been to Triple Tree Aerodrome, he did something similar with, I think, probably a little bit more resources, I'm guessing. Yeah. We're just kind of like pay-go here. Like get a little bit more broke every time we put something in, like a lot more broke. But anyway, if you've ever been to Triple Tree, it's an amazing experience, and that is at Joe Knoll. So Joe Knoll event, which is named after a guy that was friends with the guy who built the property and
yeah, Joe Knoll is
passed away.
Triple Tree is the
location. Absolutely. Yeah, which is in South Carolina. South Carolina. Yep. So anyway, guys, and by the way, that's his second 400-acre facility. This is 24 acres, not quite the same thing, but it's still, that's the feel we're going for, is just an aerodrome. I didn't know that was a word until we went there, and then I learned what it was, and I was like, I want that thing. Well, no, I mean, I already wanted it. I just didn't know I had a name for it. We were already building it. But then when we saw it, and we were like, wow, this is amazing. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, that's what we're doing here, guys. If you didn't already know it, if you hadn't elaborated and added those, connected the dots, you can be our dot connectors. So if you're looking for more amazing content, you're probably seeing boxes on the screen that's gonna help you pick one of those amazing experiences. We obviously organize our videos by playlist. So if you're looking for a particular plane to compare against this Avanti 70, don't be afraid of picking the one you love more just because we say we like this one better. Maybe we don't like that one as much. it's your choice, but we did review it so we can give you a basis for comparison, which is going to be through my eyes and my lens of skill and experience in this property. So we hope you have a nice side-by-side to make a good decision, because not everybody is going to have 400 airplanes in their basement, because there'd be a lot more murderers in this country of husbands, mostly husbands, but some wives, I'm sure, dealing with RC. So the struggle's real, guys. You just gotta take it one step at a time, one plane at a time. So anyway, guys, this is what happens when you let your dreams get the best of you.
And I know there are no snakes in our basement, so.
Well, I mean, there is that one.
If there are snakes in our basement, I really am not going down there.
Do you remember how we found that like 7-foot bull snake like 3 days after we finished our driveway? We found like 4 snakes here the whole time we've lived here. And my wife's like, it's out there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was huge. And we don't generally deal with snakes. It's not like it was some poisonous thing.
There's snakes like over there.
Like 100 miles over there?
Yeah, like in the next county. But when they're like 20 feet from where my kids are riding their bikes barefoot.
It's like I was throwing a stick and then it started to bite me.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it
yeah. Okay. All right. That's all you get for today. Thanks, guys, for watching. Oh, by the way, if you want to support us in other ways, you don't want to buy these planes, batteries, transmitters, things that we've reviewed, like leaf blowers, weed whackers, hay balers.
I'll start linking to that in every video.
If you don't want to support us in that way, we've got 4 other ways. We've got super thanks, which are from YouTube. They keep their cut, obviously, just so you know. By the way, we've been working with links for years. YouTube attacked us on some links. They have since granted us links back at the same time they were blocking other links. So it's kind of like, we don't know what to think. So YouTube doesn't have their stuff together as usual, and they are the mothership and they will crush you if they don't like you. So we're just trying to be nice and not talk too much more bad about them, because at this point we are on their platform, and so we got to play by their rules. The problem is their rules are ambiguous and impossible to follow, and they can't even tell you what you've done wrong, but you did it wrong and you know it, except nobody does really know it. So anyway, YouTube super thanks, YouTube members, thanks for being a member. The monthly support does help. Patreon monthly support, and then PayPal for one-time donations. Remember, friends and family who wants to pay fees, that's the only one that doesn't pay fees to somebody, some third party. So I don't know. If I'm supporting somebody, I want to know how the money's getting spent. And the truth is, for us, you pretty much see where the money's getting spent. It's right there right now. Next year, it's going to be probably the road, if not the runway across the dam. We're not sure how we've actually been talking about that lately. We've got some storage that we're getting in the next few weeks to move some of the planes out of the basement, because our kids need bedrooms and we need more storage for new planes. So we're working on that. And then we also have, we might end up putting a roof over those. We're not sure how that's going to lay out yet, though. For timing, it's probably going to be a lower priority. And as you know, we got that property over there for something we can't talk about yet, but we will eventually share what we're doing. And of course, the dam gift shop over here, which is going to sit next to the dam road, it should be kind of like where the tree pile is now, probably. So it's tucked in and away from the runway, because we need to keep room for the airstrip. So in case you guys were wondering how this all get laid out, it's all laid out by yours truly based on where planes fly. So if your wife lets you lay out your property based on where the airplanes are going to fly, you did good.
Or if your wife reminds you that there are airplanes flying there, so maybe you shouldn't plant trees in certain spots.
We were just talking about that earlier, actually. It's funny you bring that up. So anyway, guys, that's really like the big ticket items right now would be the road after the pond is finished, which, you know, this is basically going to be finished first thing spring. So like maybe 3 months, depends on how long the frost takes to get out. Yeah. And then the road, the helipad, that should all kind of like happen maybe at the same time. It depends on what the quotes come back for the concrete work, if we're doing concrete or if it's gonna be asphalt. And then of course over there, if it still makes sense once the pond gets in, then that would probably be the next big ticket item. And then the dirt work for the full scale strip. So when you guys have big dreams, this is where I'm gonna leave you, okay? Find the video you wanna watch next. If you have big dreams and you want to achieve them, don't expect it to be overnight. A, and B, don't expect to do it without help, because if you're doing it without help, you won the lotto, and you're probably, you know, you're going to blow your load really quick. Trust me. We have had so much help getting where we are right now. And it's not because of, you know, just the viewership. I mean, we've had family and friends and things that have helped us to get where we are, and having a good employer for my day job that has taken care of me for many, many years. I've been there for 18 years. And, you know, my wife working her tail off, which would be the camera crew if you guys hadn't connected the dots yet. And just lots of other people that have been in our lives that have helped to support us. And some of you are those people. So we really appreciate you being that sense of reason at times, and also that sense of support, whether it comes from, you know, a buck here or there, or more than a couple of bucks here and there, or advice that's good and actionable. Because we get lots of advice from people that are doing nothing, and we get advice from people that are doing something. And it gets pretty easy to distinguish between the two when you've done something over time. And so it's really cool to have access to such a cool and amazing, wonderful, supportive group of people right here on YouTube. So when you guys are here, just remember, you're not looking at a screen, you're looking at a real life of a real family that's really happening right now in real time and space. It's not just foam planes, okay? So we really appreciate you. So stay tuned. There's so much coming from Brian Phillips RC.